So did you sacrifice anything to get into Harvard? Do you feel like you did?
I definitely sacrificed my mental health in high school.
I lost a lot of sleep. I was averaging like 3 or 4 hours of sleep during senior year.
I didn't have as much fun as I should have, but I think that's what people here do. Like once they come here, they be going crazy.
I do think that Harvard is more of a brand name.
Yeah, so what is important to you as a Harvard student?
Right now, class is not my most important thing.
Do you think asking a high schooler to get into Harvard is something toxic?
I think the problem is like the next step because you equate Harvard with being successful.
So I think that the prestige that the name carries is brought on to me as a person, and I think it's a huge asset for me.
Probably 50% of these students here came from rich private schools.
So it was definitely an interesting experience to just like be hanging out with people and be like, just casually find out that their parents are like millionaires, billionaires. It's really weird.
I definitely had to kind of put my morals aside to a certain extent to go to this college in general when you find out how much of like the stuff that goes around here.
Because everyone here definitely isn't hardworking or moral.
I met a guy like maybe a month ago who's like, I'm gonna retire soon because he just got it like that. Like he just has that money.
No jumping, please.
So what's your name and what's your major?
Angie, I'm concentrating in sociology.
I'm Dara. I'm a sophomore and I study social studies.
I'm Logan Wilson. I'm studying astrophysics and physics.
My name is Rachel and I'm thinking of concentrating in computer science.
My name's Naja. I'm undecided. I'm a first year.
I'm Jonas Clark. I'm a first year, so I do not have a major yet, but I think my concentration will probably be in biomedical engineering.
I'm David. I'm a neuroscience major.
So as a Harvard student, do you think you can ever fail in life?
I think starting in the position we're starting from at this college is pretty hard to go down from here, but it's also pretty hard to go up.
No, I don't think so. I think there's just so much like opportunity here.
I feel like we're in a good spot just because of like the luxury of going to Harvard.
Of course, I think you can fail in any stance.
Yeah, I think that being part of Harvard is like a big privilege, and I think you can always, like, if you waste that, then you can fail. You know, it's not a guarantee in life.
If you don't get to where you want to be, I think there's failures in terms of yourself rather than failures as like a big perspective.
I feel like it really depends on your perception of failure. I feel like a lot of like what people perceive as failure is like not like achieving a certain thing or like a really like worldly view or like really like like kind of like abstract. So I think you'd have to like define what you consider failure. I feel like you can fall short of your own personal goals, but I don't think that's like a definitive standard of like who you are as a person or equate you to being whatever you fell short of. Everyone here has failed at something before.
No, I think the people that have gotten into Harvard are already so hardworking that it's kind of hard for them to fail. And then the university has so many like resources for the students that I think you'd have to try harder to fail than like to succeed. Like it's really difficult. There are so many office hours and tutorials that you can go to. It's difficult to fail here.
I think maybe in terms of like a starting point, you might be higher than others, but I think that you can always waste that.
Anywhere, like you can't really fail at life. But obviously the Harvard name does help. Knowing that that's going to be like on my resume forever is nice.
I do think that Harvard is more of a brand name. There are definitely some things that could be improved on campus.
It would be hard to end up as a failure per se, but there's definitely the places that we can end up that are sort of below the expectations that people set for us.
I don't think the fact that I go to Harvard has any equivalence of whether or not I would fail in my own life. I think you can apply the same question to anyone who's not a student here specifically. I don't think Harvard shields you from any standard of failure.
Yeah, you don't think you get a really big benefit of the doubt when you're like, hey guys, I'm a Harvard student, and you have like a Harvard hoodie on?
I think that goes back to our different standards of failure, because if you think failure is like not getting a leg up on a job, then like maybe that has some bearing on it, but I think I view failure as more of like a moral shortcoming or something greater than me wearing a hoodie.
A lot of times when I just tell people where I go, they already have a certain image of who I am and what my values are. And definitely I think students here they are hardworking, but I think to kind of have that preconceived notion of them, it's not something that students at other colleges have that benefit of. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that benefits you, or that takes away from you, someone with preconceived notions of you as a college student or as a Harvard student?
Do you think it's beneficial that people have a certain idea about Harvard
Yeah.
students?
So like how you said, people see you, they probably see you as hardworking, studious, maybe even see you as a moral person. So do you think that's right?
I don't think it's necessarily right to assume anything about an entire group of people. So I mean, because everyone here definitely isn't hardworking or moral, but in my case, if that's what they want to think of me, I hope to live up to their expectations, and so I do think it's beneficial.
So once again, back to the living up to the expectations thing, how does that affect you, I guess? Does that motivate you mostly, or does that take away from you sometimes when you're feeling unmotivated?
Definitely from my family members or people I know outside of Harvard, but I feel like we kind of all have the same mentality on what's important and stuff like that. So not really from my peers as much.
Yeah, I think there is pressure all around. I think that there's a lot of social pressures that come from outside, especially if you do not go to the school. There's a lot of pressure that people put on just from hearing that you're a student here. And I think you have to live up to the expectations that others have for you a lot, yeah.
I think there is a bit of pressure, but the environment's really not competitive at all, and we're all really collaborative here, so I feel like there's not too much pressure.
We kind of just all encourage each other to keep on working hard because everyone else around you is working hard.
Definitely when people are looking towards an answer, I think they always turn towards Harvard students, but I think there's a lot more different answers that can be, a lot of different perspectives that can be viewed.
I think in general it is motivating, but there are times when it feels like it's a lot of pressure. It's kind of optics in a sense. It's I can't fail because people expect X of a Harvard student, and so I think it can be kind of daunting in that sense, knowing that people have a certain perception of you, and you feel like eyes are on you because you do go to such a well-known institution.
Yeah, but the failure aside, do you think that you get the benefit of the doubt when people know that you're a Harvard student?
Benefit of doubt in what context? Within a job interview or meeting people, I definitely think people who aren't as familiar with Harvard or know it very abstractly, it kind of is viewed as a really positive thing that people kind of expect certain standards, but I don't think that really dictates my personhood.
Yeah. So do you ever feel any pressure seeing that a lot of people are holding you to such a high standard?
No, I think to feel that level of pressure, I feel like it happens that sometimes people joke here, it's called imposter syndrome, do I deserve to be here, things of that nature. But I think even to get to that point, you'd have to be viewing your own value by an external perspective. That means you're basing your worth on other people's perception of you, and that's not really how I choose to be.
So what are these expectations that people are setting up for you, and what do you mean how you can't go up from Harvard?
I mean, this is funny. When I first started my experience here, it was at Visitas, which is the Accepted Students event, and I talked with the director of undergraduate studies for astrophysics, and one of the questions I asked her was if I'm going to a PhD program or grad school, where can I go that's up from here? And she was like, not really anywhere. And that's definitely contributed to what I'm saying, where it's really hard to find a place that's better than here. So it's sort of hard to go up. But about the pressures that people put on us, I'm from a very small town in Connecticut, and after I got accepted here, there was definitely a huge reaction from my home city. And it put a lot of pressure on me. There were people that are surprised to see someone from Torrington be accepted here, and there's a lot of people who I wouldn't consider myself to have been close with in high school, who are reaching out, trying to stay in contact.
Oh, really?
And it's quite an experience. It's a lot of pressure that I didn't expect.
High school student, do you think you sacrifice anything to get into Harvard, seeing that you're already here?
No, in the sense that I did things because I was passionate about them and I did things that I cared about. If I didn't get into Harvard, I wouldn't regret a single thing I did in high school or any activity like that, because I didn't do them for the sake of getting into Harvard. I did them because I cared about them, and I think that's pretty resounding for a lot of people here. And so I don't think that people should sacrifice what they really care about, what they're really interested in, because there's a 3% chance I might get into a certain school. I don't think that's a way to live your life based on one person looking at your admissions for 10 minutes.
I definitely sacrificed my mental health in high school, and it's weird because my parents, unlike a lot of my friends' parents, they didn't put any pressure on me, but it was kind of pressure that I placed on myself to I guess academic validation and wanting to be the best of the best. I definitely push my mental health to the wayside in order to get into the colleges that I thought would be the best.
Yeah.
My time, like I definitely put in a lot of work in high school, but it wasn't too much of a sacrifice. I mean, I think I was able to balance like my social life and my school life and still like do enough to get in.
Yeah, definitely. I think I barely played in high school. I didn't have as much fun as I should have. But I think that's what people here do. Like once they come here, they be going crazy. You know what I mean? Like they be having a lot of fun just to like experience that freedom that they didn't have.
To make up for the time a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of kids here did that. I mean, there are definitely kids who just like worked all through high school and didn't do anything else. But I think, I don't know, it's not like too hard to be able to like balance.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially my senior year. I started off my high school experience freshman and sophomore year being a little bit slacking in a way. I took it pretty easy freshman, sophomore year, and then junior, senior year came around and I was like, I got to put something together in order to end up at a good school. And I worked really hard. I lost a lot of sleep. I was averaging like 3 or 4 hours of sleep during senior year. It was pretty brutal. It was brutal, but it worked out. So but there were definitely sacrifices along the way to end up here. So
Yeah. So what was that spark in junior year that made you like want to sleep 4 hours a night?
I mean, it depends on what you want. Like I wanted to, like I would rather work hard earlier, like in high school, to get into Harvard and like pretty much feel like you're in a good spot for a job after college. But like if you just like kind of want to like chill and not like focus so much on like your academics in high school, then there's really no reason to like to pressure yourself to do all that stuff. It just depends on what kind of person you are and like what your goals are.
I mean, nothing makes anyone want to sleep 4 hours a night, but especially in a field of study like astrophysics, it really matters where you start, and the education that you receive is hugely important. So as soon as I realized junior, senior year that astrophysics is what I wanted to go into, I really figured out what programs I wanted to end up at, and Harvard's the best ranked undergraduate astro program in the country. So it's once I figured out what I had a passion for, I looked where I could exploit that passion, and this is the place. So,
Do you think asking a high schooler to get into Harvard is something toxic for high schoolers?
I think if you are encouraging or like expecting, I think that's really toxic. Depends on who's asking. If it's a parent, I think it's really toxic, especially if the child did not have intentions of applying to Harvard.
Yes, just because I think the college application system, it's kind of hard to know what goes on in the admission room, and I think it causes a lot of people stress. I know even at my high school, it was like around the time in April when decisions were coming out, it was really stressful for students. And so I don't think any parent or teacher should put that expectation on a student. I think just trying to get into any college at all is an amazing feat. Or graduating high school in and of itself is an amazing feat.
I honestly do think, I don't think anyone's goal should be getting into a specific school. Like you can set all your own personal goals, but I think the problem is like the next step, because you equate Harvard with being successful, and that's kind of what I talked about earlier. But if your goal is to get into Harvard, or your goal is to get into like what you perceive as a good school, even if you fall short of that one goal, that doesn't mean you failed, because you can still have what you really mean, your end goal of being successful in your own way. Harvard's not necessarily equal to that. Yeah. I think it stops too early, and I don't think people should pressure themselves or do anything that they aren't passionate about or don't genuinely care about for the sake of, I'll get into Harvard and then I'll be successful after. I think those are too I don't think you've, at that point, even then you're like 15, I don't think you've necessarily defined 100% for sure what you deem as successful. You just kind of go off what other people think is perception, or is what other people think is successful, and that's why people equate it to Harvard.
Yeah, definitely. I had a lot of pressure as well. I think as time goes on, it's getting more competitive and it's getting harder to get into colleges like these. And so I think that puts a lot of pressure on high school students, and they feel like they need to do more. They need to get higher test scores. They need to do like better activities to get into schools like these. And I think that's not really what a high schooler needs.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of pressure to put on a 16 or 17-year-old kid to figure out what they're doing with their life and where they're going with their future. So in that way, I do think that the college admissions process is a little bit flawed, because I don't think any 16-year-old is able to look far enough forward to be able to tell what they want to be doing with their lives. But at the same time, I do support the idea of giving kids the ability to pick where they want to go and what they want to do. I just do think it happens a little bit too early, maybe. The interactions with kids from very different backgrounds is definitely a very interesting experience for me because, like I mentioned, I'm from a small city in Connecticut, and it's a relatively poor city, so I was never really surrounded by the kind of privilege that you see around here. So it was definitely an interesting experience to just like be hanging out with people and be like, just casually find out that their parents are like millionaires, billionaires. It's really weird. But I do definitely think that the prestige here is one of the strongest aspects of the education. Just like I was throwing together my resume the other day, and it just so happens that like I can put Harvard as like the very first thing, and I think that just having that name be associated with me makes people make a lot of positive assumptions about me and my background. So I think that the prestige that the name carries is brought on to me as a person, and I think it's a huge asset for me as I go into grad school and a career.
Well, I'd say my experience is different from a lot of my other I have a lot of Black friends and other POC friends, and I know they come from like first generation low income areas. I was privileged enough to like go to majority white and Asian middle and high schools growing up, but like I just feel like that experience has extended because even in middle and high school, like I was like the poorest kid there, you know? So I felt like while I'm used to being like feeling like I'm not in the in crowd in that sense, or like it's definitely weird hearing about like their summer vacations, and I'm like, okay, you guys went with your friends to Cabo or Italy when I couldn't do those things. And they also have some things on campus where you can like pay for your laundry to be done, and it's definitely like the richest kids that do that. I would never I'm not going to spend my money that way.
I think there's a lot to say about like minority communities here. I think that there's different social aspects that you have to conform to, but at the same time I think that there's a community that is pretty strong here, and it's pretty tight-knit, so yeah.
But I just think that like even the acceptance rate is crazy, and it's like their endowment is like they don't even know what to do with their money, honestly. And it's like there is so much good that Harvard could be doing beyond what they do, like that it's like I definitely had to kind of like put my morals aside to a certain extent to go to this college in general when you find out how much of like the stuff that goes around here. And it's like any elite institution pretty much, not just Harvard, but it's like there's so much like Harvard has way too much power to be like being so passive the way it is right now. And I think that they put a lot of the work on like students of color here to like do that work to make Harvard a better place. One of my classes we talk about diversity, and it's like, is diversity good for Black people or like students of color, or is it just good for white people? Because white people need the other perspectives. I get it all the time because this is America's a PWI, but like they just put a lot of the pressure on students of color to do the work and do the activism that Harvard should be doing by themselves alone. So like definitely it's like something that's talked about a lot, but I'm not gonna do all the work. So someone's got to do it.
Honestly, there aren't a lot of people who I interact with that are like exceptionally rich. I don't know it until I like find out their parents, like who their parents are, because like some people's parents have extremely powerful positions in the US, or they've like donated buildings to this university, and you hear like when you hear their last name, you're like, there's a building here with that last name. That's interesting. And so I don't think I really want to be, it doesn't really like sway me into wanting to be friends with them, because I think it's weird to like be more inclined to be friends with someone when you know they have money. But they're nice regardless of like, for the most part, regardless of the amount of money they have. And so if I'm friends with them, I'm friends with them. If I'm not, I'm not.
So as a high schooler, do you think your finances really matter if you're going to get into Harvard or not?
1,000%. Like probably 50% of these students here came from rich private schools. Like even if they came from my family is not rich, but like I got a bunch of financial aid to go to a private school, and so that's why I'm here. Like if I didn't go to that school, I don't think I would be able to get here. So like money definitely plays a role in that. There's some people who like are just like amazing people who just like somehow made it here without like getting all the help that most kids do get here, but definitely finances play a massive role in being able to come into the school.
I think I can tell when someone's not rich, but I don't think I can tell when someone's like I think the low income students here, it's a tight knit community, so they like openly speak about their like experiences not growing up rich. Or like even when we have different events, there's this thing called like SEF eligible, where you don't have to like pay to get into a party or go to like a show or something. So like if someone's SEF eligible.
I think I surround myself around like a lot of people who are in my socioeconomic status. So like my friend group, like socially, I don't have to worry about that. But I know a lot of kids who it's like they want to go out all the time, or like they like literally take trips to like Florida, Miami, like California, or out of like the country as a friend group. And it's like those things are like, if you don't fit in with that crowd, it's like hard to like be friends with them, honestly. And then like even in an academic sense, like people have enough money for tutors, people have enough money to like even take classes over the summer so that they're ahead. Like there's definitely a bunch of stuff that affects your like Harvard life based off of your finances, but at the same time, like it's big enough to where you can choose to surround yourself with a certain group of people, so it alleviates that, and it isn't as bad as it could be in other friend groups.
Word.
Well, I think it's good to contextualize that for us. This is the only college experience we have. So my standard of normal just happens to be at Harvard. So like the tourist being interviewed on my way to office hours is just kind of like, oh yeah, like that's my college experience. It's like what it is for me. So I do think there's ways to have like we have no choice but to make it our normal college experience, and like that just is part of like the fun that, or like I guess that comes with it. But yeah, I definitely think that people can view it as just like being in college. Like people socialize, people like want to have like normal experiences. We just happen to go here.
So have there been any unnormal experiences here? Any crazy stories or anything that you've seen that's out of the ordinary?
I guess a lot of it just comes from random times. There'll be a lot of like celebrities or like famous people. Like Zuckerberg was here earlier this month, and like we have like resident fellows, so like a lot of like politicians will kind of live in certain dorms or like houses. Like they'll just kind of be in D halls or whatever. I don't think anything too crazy to say, but good luck. You could probably find something from someone.
Word. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Definitely crazy stories. Like I met a guy like maybe a month ago who's like, I'm gonna retire soon because he just got it like that. Like he just has that money. Like I've heard of people doing coke on campus. Like there's definitely crazy things, but it's definitely not as different than like
any other college, like a private college though.
Yeah. So a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of weird stuff that happens too.
Man, a lot of stuff, man. A lot of crazy stuff be going on. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I do know people be drinking hella. They be partying OD, and like I think that's just what college is, though. You know what I mean?
So, do you have any crazy experiences or stories at Harvard that you can talk about so far?
I've only been here for like about a couple months, so I don't have anything crazy yet, but if you ask me in like 2 to 3 months or after like this weekend, I'll probably have like 3 stories.
Say that, bro.
Yeah.
I really wish I had something interesting to share. I've only been here a few months so far.
Oh,
yeah, I'm a first year.
Oh, okay.
I've heard that there's this thing called Primal Scream, which is, I think it's during final season, where people like run outside naked and they scream. I'm pretty sure, yeah, they run outside naked and they scream. You can like look up Harvard traditions, and that's one of them. I don't think I'll be participating in that, but it will be interesting to watch, definitely.
Okay, word. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Now, do you have any crazy experiences over here, or do you have any crazy stories at Harvard?
What do you mean by crazy?
Whatever you think crazy is, man.
I would have to say my crazy experience so far was I'm not going to name any names, but there was one person who was in my astrophysics class who I became quite close friends with, and a couple days ago I found out that he's a billionaire. So that was a crazy experience for me.
With a B.
With a B, multiple B's actually. So I was pretty blown away by that, because he was like a super normal guy and I just had no idea. So it was really weird for me to like see that someone who I'd already become like closely associated with had that kind of money and that kind of power when I'd never expected it. So
did that change your view of him, your relationship at all?
I mean, I was already close friends with him before, and now like it makes me feel bad because it makes me feel like being friends with them, it's like I'm looking for something or I'm pursuing something. I'm not, because I mean I liked them before I knew, but it was definitely a perspective shifting kind of event. So
Damn, I mean, I bet that's how some people feel when they're talking to you, like how you said people are trying to reconnect with you that day. Mr. Harvard.
it's interesting. Yeah, no, it's nice though, because one of the things that's weird about being here is that everyone got into Harvard, so it's like you're not that special anymore. But when you go back home and people recognize you, it's kind of a cool experience. I appreciate it.
Word.
Harvard is getting more and more buildings around the area, so they're gentrifying a bunch of areas and driving out a bunch of people from their homes. And people act like it's, oh, we just got a new science building, but it's like, no, you're doing a lot more damage than just that. So I definitely agree with what you're saying, and there's so much that Harvard could do, especially in this area alone, to make the lives of other people a lot better.
Damn, I appreciate you. You said some real shit, for real. For real. You was ready for this, but yo, you have any other crazy stories you want to tell?
Other crazy stories. I don't know. It's just like there's like a education gap here at Harvard just about like things that go along. Like I know people who know to take certain classes to get a certain internship and things like that. Like that type of knowledge is not shared among a lot of people. It's like only alumni, like people who have like our legacies or something know about that stuff. So I'm tapped out of like all the, you know, fun little secrets. I don't know, but I'm gonna get there. But so there's a lot of stuff I personally don't know, but if you continue asking around, you're gonna hear definitely a lot of crazy and absurd things that happens here.
The white kids.
They got it. They have all the info. So.
Word. I appreciate you so much, man. That was yeah. Well, what's your name?
Angie.
Angie. Eric. Nice to meet you. Like you said, it's an asset. You think it could ever take away from you? You think it's ever like, I don't want to tell people I'm a Harvard student right now?
Absolutely. I think there's a common saying that people say that like, how do you know you're meeting a Harvard student? Because you'll find out that they go to Harvard in the first 5 minutes, you know? So it's like, and I think that the reason behind that is not actually that Harvard kids will tell you that they go to Harvard, but that the person you're talking to will remember that you go to Harvard, you know? It's a name that carries that kind of weight, that they associate that with your identity. And it is definitely a little bit hard to break away from that identity sometimes, especially now that I made such an impact back home. I visited home like 2 weeks ago, and I was in the Taco Bell drive-through line, and two dudes who were like ringing me up at the window, and they were like, "Yo, what's up, Harvard?" And I didn't remember who these kids were. Like I didn't recognize them, but they knew who I was. I didn't know who they were, and they just remembered me. Like I don't even know if they knew my name. They just knew me as Harvard. They gave me free drinks and stuff, so it was cool. But like, it's definitely hard to disassociate from the identity, because the name makes a big impact on people. So
now that you're here, are you still feeling that way? You're trying to be the best of the best at Harvard, or did it kind of dull down a little bit?
So based on my major, I know that like I won't have to go to a graduate school if I wanted to make money. So I feel like compared to my friends that are on a pre-med track and still have to like compete with their classmates in order for like a high GPA to get into a med school, I don't really feel that same amount of pressure, because I think just having a Harvard degree going into the workforce already like gives me a leg up in a sense, and so I'm not as stressed as I was in high school.
Finishing Harvard is harder.
Getting into Harvard is harder. I think I'm pre-med. Pre-med itself is pretty hard. It's miserable, but I think that's the same for any school. But I think in terms of like people I know, like people who graduate, I think the graduation rate here is very, very high. But I think like getting in is much harder.